Have you ever wondered what happens when your heart stops beating? Not in a metaphor, but for real. When life simply shuts down, and for a few minutes, silence takes over. I was fine. It was just another ordinary day, until, without warning, my body shut down. A sudden, inexplicable stop. The doctor said it was 6 minutes, 6 long minutes between life and the unknown. And during that time, something happened. Something that cannot be explained with logic. Everything went dark. The sound disappeared. The pain disappeared. Technically, I died. But what I saw in that brief interval was not of this world. It was as if I had been taken to a place where time does not exist, where a presence was waiting for me, but not for me. Have you ever been in a situation that made you question everything? Have you ever felt like there was something greater than we can understand? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover now may surprise you. The message I received in that space between two worlds, The message I received in that space between two worlds didn't seem to be meant for me. It was as if I had heard something that should have been delivered to someone else at another time. But that, for some reason, reached me. And that's why I need to share this now, because maybe, and just maybe, this message was meant for someone watching this video. It could be you. If this type of experience resonates somewhere within, if at some point in your life you have had that feeling that there is something beyond what meets the eye, leave a comment below with what has touched you the most so far. I read every message, and it is your story, your opinion, that transforms this space into a true meeting point for people who feel that there is something greater. Take advantage and leave a like, because that really helps the channel to grow. And bring this content to those who are also looking for answers. And of course, if you feel like you are part of this journey, subscribe now. There is a lot I still need to share with you, and in that moment, between heartbeats that disappeared and a silence that seemed eternal, that was when I realized something that would change my entire life. The first thing I remember was not an image, but an absence. It was as if I had been ripped from my body and placed somewhere else, a place where time does not move the way we know it. There was no sound, but there was also no silence. It was a kind of presence that filled everything, as if space itself had consciousness. And the strangest thing, I felt no fear. There was no pain, no anxiety, no rush. It was a peace so intense that, for a second, I wondered if this was the true state of existence, and if everything we experience here on Earth was just a superficial layer of reality. There were no walls, no sky, no ground. It was an immensity without a defined shape, but extremely welcoming. The light there was not like the sun. It was more like a living energy that emanated from everything around me. And somehow, I understood everything that was happening, without words needing to be spoken. It was then that I realized that I was not alone. I felt a presence. I can't say that I saw a face or a body. It was more of a consciousness. Something that watched me with indescribable attention. And when it approached, it didn't speak to me like we do here. It transmitted something to me directly inside me. A short sentence. A clear message. But, strangely, I knew that it wasn't for me. It was like holding a closed letter with someone else's name on the envelope. At that moment, something inside me stirred. A kind of call to return. I didn't want to, but I couldn't resist either. It was as if there was a force pulling my being back into my body, as if someone had decided that my journey here wasn't over yet, and before I could understand any more. Everything was gone. The light, the warmth, the peace, and then came the impact, the sound of the machines, the voices of the doctors, the pain of my body coming back to life. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because what happened in the following moments was even more surprising than the death experience itself. Comment here. That makes sense to me. If something inside you also felt that shiver, the message came so clearly that it seemed to be part of me. There was no sound, no voice. It was like a thought that was not mine, planted with precision within my consciousness. Words without sound, but with absolute meaning. And it was strange, because I immediately understood what that message was saying. It was something specific, almost like guidance, but it made no sense to my life. I did not recognize that pain, that story, that destiny. It was like receiving a note addressed to someone else, in the handwriting of someone I had never met. Still, I felt the weight, as if he had been entrusted with keeping it or perhaps delivering it. And it was in that moment that I realized this was not mine. The message was not for me. The most disturbing thing was that I knew there was a purpose to it all. Nothing about it felt like a mistake or an accident. It was as if there was a backstage area behind reality, an invisible layer where bigger decisions were made, and for a reason I didn't yet understand, I had been placed in this position, even if only temporarily.
Oh.
The impact of this revelation was profound. It changed something in my mindset, as if I had been summoned to a journey that had yet to begin, not because I wanted it, but because something or someone had decided it was so, and I found myself torn between the strangeness of carrying something that didn't belong to me and the silent responsibility of perhaps having to give it up one day. This affected my emotions, the way I saw the world, the people around me, even seemingly random encounters. Does everything really have a purpose? Are certain encounters, certain connections, just ways for a message to be delivered at the right time to the right person? Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because the way this message continued to reverberate within me, even after my return, was what made me realize that this experience was far from over. Write in the comments, I'm on this journey too, if you also feel that certain moments in life carry greater messages than we can understand at the time. The return was abrupt. There was no poetry, no gentleness. It was like being violently pulled from a calm place and thrown back into a body that seemed too small to contain everything I had just experienced. I remember opening my eyes with difficulty, the sound of machines surrounding me, hurried voices in the background, and an intense pain in my chest as if my heart was screaming at having been forced to return. But what struck me most at that moment was not the physical pain, it was the confusion. It was like waking up from a dream so real that you begin to doubt reality itself. I looked around, saw the faces, heard the words, but something inside me already knew I was no longer the same. The emotional impact was devastating, and at the same time, transformative. It was as if the me that existed before had been left there, on the threshold between worlds, and what had returned was a more attentive, more sensitive, more restless version. I began to question everything. Why had I come back? Why had I received a message that was not mine? And what exactly was I supposed to do with it now? The questions came in waves, and no answer was simple. My mindset changed. I stopped living on autopilot. Small decisions began to carry greater weight, because now I felt like there was something watching, something waiting. Perhaps the next step on the journey. People close to me noticed the change, even if I couldn't explain it. My gaze became deeper, the silence more frequent. It wasn't sadness, it was awareness. I had crossed an invisible border, and now I saw life from here, with the eyes of someone who had already been there. The hidden truth I learned is that transformation doesn't always come with clear warnings. Sometimes it comes through trauma, through breakdown, through something that lifts you off the ground to show you a new vision of the whole. And when that happens, there's no going back to who you were. Now, I want to go even deeper into this subject, because it was after this return that things started to happen in a way that seemed synchronized, as if the universe was trying to discreetly guide me to the true destination of that message. Comment there, the person who came back. It was no longer the same. If you have ever gone through a transformation that turned you inside out and changed everything inside out. For a long time, I kept this story to myself, not because I wanted to hide it, but because I didn't know how to explain it. How do you put into words something that defies everything you believed before? I spent months trying to rationalize it, trying to put a name to what happened. Was it just a delusion brought on by my failing brain? Did I imagine it all? But no matter how much logic tried to convince me otherwise, something inside me kept saying it wasn't imagination, it was real, too real to be made up. And deep down, I knew that keeping it to myself was denying the impact the experience had had. It was like trying to bottle up lightning. Over time, I began to notice small signs. Situations that put me face to face with people going through losses, crises, moments of darkness. And in these encounters, that feeling came back. The message wasn't mine. I was just holding on until I found the person who really needed to hear it. That's when I understood that maybe the mission was never about me. Maybe I was just the vehicle. And that realization changes everything. Because when you leave a place where death has visited, you but let you stay, you come back different, with a new lens to see life and, most importantly, with a sense of urgency. Not in the sense of rushing, but of purpose. I don't know if you've ever had the feeling that something has crossed your path, as if life has paused just to hand you a key, and the only thing left now is to find out which door it opens. This story, this experience, this return, all of this has brought me here. I'm telling you this because maybe, on some level that we don't yet understand, this message was for you. Maybe you're going through something that doesn't seem to make sense, but that is preparing you for something bigger. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because what happened next not only confirmed everything I felt, but revealed a new layer of truth that I never would have imagined. If you've made it this far, it's because some part of this story touched something deep inside you. And if this type of content makes sense to you, if it helps you see life from a different perspective, or simply gives you that breather that sometimes we didn't even know we needed, subscribe to the channel. It's how we keep this exchange alive. This conversation that goes beyond the screen and goes straight to the heart. Leave the phrase here in the comments. This message was for me, just so I know you stayed with me until the end. I read everything, and knowing you're here makes all the difference. Oh, and if this video brought you some clarity, some relief, or even some good question, leave a like. It may seem simple, but this gesture helps this content reach more people who may need to hear exactly this. There's a video here that continues with the same energy. Click on it and come with me. Maybe it will bring the missing piece for you to put all this together within yourself.